Hello everyone and welcome to today's NAR Realtor Benefit Summit webinar. We are honored to welcome you today as we have some incredible industry experts who will be updating us on some exciting new opportunities and overviews on how to best use NAR member benefits. I'm Callie Waterhouse with AAR. So throughout today's webinar with Jake Randall from TaxBot, we invite you to ask questions. There is the question box feature on your screen. Just write it in. Jake's going to be chatting with us for about 30-35 minutes, and then we're going to take some questions at the end. So please share your questions. And if you have a question, I can guarantee you somebody else has that same question. So please just ask the question away. And perfect. Good to go.
I'm going to switch screens real quick here and just share a couple of interesting things first, and then we'll jump right in. But we appreciate the opportunity of being here. We got this started because, we saw the tax bill come in at the end of every year, and it just kind of made us sick. And with most business owners, you either know what you're doing or you don't know, or you think your CPA is doing it. And so I met a gentleman by the name of Sandy Botkin, who is the former head of training for the IRS, and he's been teaching business owners for years, and he told me that most business owners overpay their taxes every single year, even if they think they know what they're doing, to the tune of billions of dollars. And so we started diving into this, and that's kind of how the TaxBot got started. But here's an interesting fact. You're going to spend more on taxes in your lifetime than you will on food, shelter, transportation, and clothing combined. It is your life's biggest expense. It might not feel like it, but by the time you add up all the taxes that you pay, it's more than you pay for debt and everything. And so it's a big deal. And with that, only 4% of people can retire with the same standard of living that they have before they retire. And most of that's because they, generally we're not very good about managing our money. But also, if we could get your taxes down and you could save more money on your taxes, doesn't it make sense that you could give yourself a better retirement in the future? But the government does want you to be in business. We have two tax systems in this country. We have one for the business owner and one for the employee. And the government wants you to take advantage of these deductions. That's why we have them. The problem is that sometimes we're not educated enough. But, just to give you an example of this, here's an example of Mary. She's got a bunch of expenses: cell phone, her mortgage payment, car expenses. She goes out to eat at restaurants, entertainment, medical expenses, and everything. As an employee, she doesn't really get any benefits tax-wise out of that, unless those are extravagant for medical or something. But if she's a business owner, and this works great for realtors, portions of these may become deductible. Same money that you're spending, but portions of them are now deductible, meaning used in cash at the end of the year. So that's kind of just a little bit of a background. But because the deductions are so good, you do have a higher chance of an audit. The government gives you these great tax advantages, but they want to make sure that nobody's abusing them, and so you do have as much as a 700% more likely chance to be audited. The chances are still small, but they are greater. And so what most people don't realize is that they're either in this dilemma. You're either not taking deductions because you're scared of the IRS, or you don't know what you're doing, or you're taking them without the proper documentation, which is probably worse because you are opening yourself up to getting really hammered if you do get audited. But after today, you're not going to really worry about the IRS. We're going to show you how you can have peace of mind that you're being compliant, and really we're going to help you learn how to take your tax deductions to the next level. And that's where I'm going to show you get into TaxBot and what we can do for you. So now I'm going to switch screens and I'm going to just give you a demo and show you how this works in real life. So I need to switch back to my main screen here. You should be able to see my phone here. Okay, so I like to use the example as a realtor. Let's say you're going to go show some homes to a client, and then you're going to go to lunch, take them to lunch, and try to get them to sign the deal. As you leave your home office or your office, with TaxBot, you can click Add Trip, and you just click Start Tracking Mileage, and it's automatically going to be tracking your mileage according to IRS standards. When you get there, you click Stop, The beginning and ending addresses, I didn't go anywhere, but the beginning and ending addresses will be filled out. You'll get a map of your trip. You can assign it to a business, or you can use the default. So I've got this automatically attached to my business and my Ford 150. Now all it does is it requires me to put in a business purpose. So I'm going to say I met with Callie and showed homes. Oops, I can't type. When you're giving a webinar and your hands don't type as well, I would click save, and that would now then be saved in the cloud. So I don't have to keep a mileage log anymore. Like a clipboard on the side of my dash. Nobody likes those clipboards anyway, and nobody can remember to put in the odometer readings. Now what I'm going to show you right now is a new feature that we haven't launched yet. It's actually coming in about 10 days. And there you'll see this little switch here. It's kind of hard to see when it's in gray. But if I turn it on, this is our automatic trip tracking. So we're getting calls all the time saying, I love TaxBot, I love the mileage tracking, but occasionally I get in my car and I'm already talking on the phone. Probably shouldn't be, but I would get in the car, talking on the phone. I forget to open my app and click Start Trip. Well, this is a feature you can turn on, and then I could put the phone in the background and just go about my day, and it's going to start. It's going to monitor. It uses the sensors in your phone, and as soon as you start moving faster than 15 miles an hour, it checks to make sure you're driving, and it starts tracking the trip. And then when you have stopped moving faster than 15 miles an hour for a period of about 7 minutes, and it's sure that you're not driving anymore, then it stops the trip and saves it in the background. You didn't do anything. Then at the end of the day, you can come back in and click Trips to Classify, and now I've got all my trips for the day. So I can come through with this, and I see the beginning and ending address. I see a map. I see how much miles. I see what time it was and the date. I can come in and say, okay, this one here, this was actually personal, so that one wasn't business. This one here, that was business, so I'm going to click Save as Business, and then it's going to ask me for the business description. So again, this would be took Callie to lunch to sign the deal, sign the offer. I click Save, and that's now saved in the cloud, and we can pull that down at the end of the year. Now you can also merge trips. These two trips were, let's say these were all, I did like 7 stops with a different client. I can come in and I can just tap the trips and merge those together to make one big trip, so I don't have to put in the business purpose, showed Callie Homes 20 times. I can put it in once. So we're really excited about this feature. I'll show you what it looks like on the back end, but now you can see I classified those 2 trips, and I don't know if you noticed before that my deduction number went up at the bottom. We keep a running estimate of your deductions for the year. It's kind of the gamification, right? We're getting a little bit of a reward. Once you start using TaxBot, you're going to start seeing this deduction number climb very, very quickly. Mine started over on January 1st, and then this ticks up all throughout the year. And it's kind of motivating when you start tracking your expenses, and the average person will probably put $1,500 to $2,500 in deductions in their first month using the system if they jump in. And it's kind of motivating to see all the money that you could be saving at the end of the year. Now, let's say Callie and I are now at lunch, and the bill comes. So I click Add Expense, and I'm going to pick my category. And pick meals. The app now asks me all the questions the IRS requires for a legitimate meal deduction. So I'm going to just type in here, what we talked about, signing the contract, and the total was $34. Callie, what's your favorite restaurant?
Taco Guild.
Taco Guild?
Yes.
I can't assign it to a business, and I talked about this a little bit, but my wife and I have several things. Like I have a property in here that I am working on, a flip, and so I could actually assign this to a business if I want, if you've got multiple things going on. And then I'm going to pick, put in Callie again. I'm going to click Attach Receipt, It's going to open up my camera, and I don't really have a receipt here, but I'll pretend that's one. And I click Save, and I'm done. Now that whole transaction is now saved in the cloud on the website, and we'll show you where that goes in a minute. But it's super easy. Two buttons on the main screen. We built this we took two very older gentlemen that are both my partners and we put them as the beta testers. We said if they can use it, anybody can use it. And a couple other quick things. You can go back in and you can see all your trips that you've done previously. You can see all your expenses in here and go back and edit them if you need to. And we also have a banking tab, and you can connect your online banking to TaxBot. It's very secure. We use the same engine as we actually do it through Intuit, the guys that do QuickBooks and TurboTax and Mint.com and all those fun things. And you can connect it up, and we will actually reconcile with your bank account with what you've already put in TaxBot. So let's say Callie and I did that lunch. If I had forgot to put it into TaxBot, it would show up in my banking tab once it hit my banking account. But since I recorded it, I would never see that here. So I can just come in here occasionally and look for all the transactions going through my bank account that I have not put into TaxBot already. And then I can go in and I can just tap this one. This is gasoline for my car. So I'll just put fuel for my car and click Save, and now that is imported into TaxBot. So we're making sure you don't get any double entry accounting. And it's looking for those missed deductions. You can go back and find those things that you might be missing. We have some tutorials and some minimal reporting in the app, but I really want to jump into the web and show you the back end, because this is what you use most of the time. But I'm excited to show you what you get at the end of the year. So I'm going to pull over the website here. So I just logged into TaxBot. And as you can see, kind of get a summary of what's going on right on the front page. I can go to my expenses. I can look up at all my recent expenses. If I click on one, here's one from yesterday. I had a follow-up on a closing, and we went to lunch. So here's my receipt in line with all the information IRS requires right there. Click Save. Same with trips. I can go back and look at all the trips. So here's the trip that I assigned about taking Callie to lunch. There's my lunch. I don't think we really went to Taco Guild, but there it is. And I can download all these. I can print anything I want, but I'm really excited to show you about the reports section. So you can come into the reports, and you can run reports based on a date range, your different businesses or entities, and then you can get them by expenses by category, expenses by month, distance, how much mileage you're driving, and then the holy grail is our tax report. Now at the end of the year, you come in here and you put in your date range, and then you get to print out something like this. We call it our audit safe report. And you're going to get a summary of all your expenses for your tax preparer, and then the deduction number. So if I look at meals on here, I have meals down here. I spend $1,000 on meals. Meals are 50% deductible, so my deduction is $525. So I've got my summary statement, and then I've got all the backup data. I've got all my receipts and the extra information that it prompted me that the IRS requires right below here. So I go back down to I've got all my receipts in line, organized by category. There's some meals, and then at the back I have my mileage log. All of my trips that were logged for business right here, bulletproof. If an IRS auditor ever comes knocking, this is the report I'm going to print out and give it to them. And then I'm going to go golfing because I know I've got everything. I'm not worried about it. Shut that down real quick. So the reporting is very powerful, and we've made sure that it's very user friendly as far for your tax preparer. And that is an interesting point too. With tax preparation, if you are one of those people that do your own taxes, I would strongly recommend that you do not do your own taxes. Find a competent tax preparer. When you do it, even if you do it, with some software and stuff, the error rate with even using software is more than double. And usually, if you come to a tax preparer with good data, like we're showing you how to collect, they can actually focus on strategy. But usually, if you go to a tax preparer and you're kind of disorganized, they spend most of their time doing data entry and just getting your stuff in a presentable format, and they can't spend a whole lot of time on strategy. And that's where the real money comes in, is when you can be strategic about saving on your taxes, setting up, the proper HSA, or there's plans out there, that you can deduct all your medical expenses. Normally, you have to exceed 10% of your adjusted gross income. Well, if you set up a Section 105 plan, which sounds like government jargon, but you can deduct all your expenses, for all your medical expenses, I mean. And those are things that you can work with your CPA or your tax preparer on. But if they're just focusing on data entry and gathering data, you're never going to have time to get to that stuff. So, speaking of education, we do have an education section, and we try to help you learn. The tax code is 70,000 plus pages long, and it would take a long time to read that, but you don't really need to know that much. You just need to know some basics. So we have a library in here. You can come in and learn all sorts of things. So let's say you want to know what the rules are about business gifts, right? I know that different states have different rules, and IRS has rules about what you can do for business gifts, like a closing gift or something like that. But you can come in here and learn from the former head of training for IRS what that is. And I won't show you this one, but I'll give you a little hint. If you're giving a gift to a person, and let's say you bought a $100 closing gift for somebody, the IRS only lets you write off $25. Now, the state may have, Callie, you might have to jump in here. The state may have regulations too about, you can only buy something less than $50 or something like that. But regardless, the IRS says you can only write off $25 per person per year as a business gift. Well, so if you spend $100, you only get $25 deduction for it. However, then he goes in and teaches you things like, but if you give a gift to an organization, so let's say you gave a gift to the brokerage that you work for, but didn't specify that it was for the broker, gifts to organizations are 100% deductible. So there's just, we kind of teach you, with a little bit of knowledge, you can save a lot of money. And there's all these different categories that you can learn about. I think there's 50 different videos. They're all less than 5 minutes long, and we try to put them in regular person language, right? So you don't have to feel like you're talking to some government bureaucrat or some highbrow CPA. But then you'll surprise your tax preparer when you go in and you say, hey, now what about, I've heard about these Section 105 medical plans. Can we implement one? And they'll be blown away. Settings in here. You can come in, and this is where you add all your different businesses, your different vehicles, where you would connect your banking logins. So you come in here, and I'm going to search for Wells Fargo. Oops, I should probably spell it right. And I would click that, and then it's going to tie into your online banking. And again, I said this is extremely secure, super encrypted, and the banks themselves are working with the aggregation system. So it's endorsed by them. And the last thing I wanted to tell you is we do have a premium feature that we don't really offer on our website that we do offer to Arizona, our friends in Arizona, if you're part of the association. And that's this tab of the hotline. We provide a hotline for if you sign up through the association for TaxBot, where you can call and ask unlimited tax questions. If you have, any time during the year, you can call and say, I got this question or this. Normally, when you talk to a tax preparer, sometimes that costs you money, and we don't do the tax. We're not going to do the tax preparation necessarily, but we're going to just answer your questions and give you information. So if you've got a complicated situation or question that you can't find an answer to, we have somebody that will pick it up. They're all seasoned professionals, and they do extensive tax research. They'll also provide you, if you do get audited, they will help you respond to the audit and kind of limit the audit. So it's kind of like a little bit of audit insurance. Now, obviously, if you were doing shady stuff, then they're not going to be able to, get you out of doing shady stuff. But they will help you get the best result out of an IRS audit that you can. And they'll also review your last year's business tax return for free and look at where you might have some opportunities to save going forward in the future. And that's all included when if you're a part of the association down there in good old Arizona, then you can get that just included as part of the deal. And like I said, I'll show you where to go get that deal. That deal is at, if you just go to aar.taxbot.com, you actually get a 50% discount on TaxBot. We charge $20 a month for it. It's only $10 a month or $100 a year through your association, and you get those premium benefits of the tax hotline, the audit support, and the review of your previous year's tax return. So it's a pretty value-packed deal. We love the real estate industry. We got started in the real estate industry, and we just want to make it as easy as possible to save on your taxes. Just a little bit of statistics. Last year, I'm still waiting for the final total from this year, but in 2013, we helped our clients save over $142 million in tax deductions. So, if you put yourself in an average tax bracket of 30%, what is that? 142 times 33%. That'd be almost $50 million in tax savings last year, and it's going to be quite a bit more this year. So that's TaxBot, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to come on and show you what we've got and how we might be able to help you. And Callie, I went a little bit faster than I normally do. I hope that's okay.
No, that's good. That's good. Hey, I picked up on a few things. We've got a couple of questions here for you, Jake. But talk to me about which platforms is your app available on right now?
Great question. It is available on iPhone, so anything Apple, iOS, and Android.
Okay, so iPhone, does that include iPad?
It does include iPad. Right now it's an iPhone app, but you can still download the iPhone app. When you're searching for it, just search under iPhone apps. And we are working on a native iPad and native tablet for Android app. Right now they are phone apps, but they work on the tablets. And they work just great on the tablets. We don't, unfortunately, work on BlackBerry or Windows. We are looking at those, but those platforms are changing so dramatically right now, and so we're just kind of waiting until it settles in and gets some traction before we go there.
Okay, so if I have TaxBot, I have it on my computer at home, and I have it on my iPhone, and I have it on my iPad. Are all three of those talking to each other? Do they sync up?
They do. That's a great question.
Okay.
In fact, we have a lot of partner teams. Sometimes it's a spouse. Sometimes it's two people working the business together on a team. Mm-hmm. And as long as they use the same login information, it's all syncing up to the same place. So we recommend in that scenario that if you want to track who's spending what or who's tracking what, you can track multiple vehicles and multiple entities in TaxBot. So we just suggest that you, my wife and I, we use the same account, but I have Jake set up as an entity, so to speak, in there, and Bonnie set up as an entity, who's my wife. And so when we save stuff, we just attach our name to it, but it all syncs up to the same thing. We print the same report at the end of the year and do our taxes.
Wow, that's great. So Jackie had a question about the receipts. And you showed them, you take a picture, and you've got that great picture, and then you have the report at the end with the picture. Do you have to keep the actual physical piece of paper, or can you toss that as soon as you have it uploaded to TaxBot?
Great question. IRS has recently come out with a ruling saying that they recommend that everybody digitize their receipts. And the reason is because when things happen, like when Hurricane Katrina happened, on all those records were lost, all those receipts, those people lost their deductions too. It was a really big deal. You know, can you imagine just losing all of the tax breaks for your business, especially if you're really doing a lot of business and spending money? And so they actually recommend that everybody digitize their receipts, and it's backed by the IRS, or that's what they recommend. We recommend that you double check to make sure that it's been saved to TaxBot. Once it's been saved to TaxBot, we have a lot of redundant storage. We store it in 3 different cloud servers that are based in different areas of the country. So if California falls off into the ocean, your stuff's still going to be fine. And we take that stuff very seriously as far as redundant backups and things like that. So just make sure that you've saved it. And I always like to we sync with your phone when you have internet, but we still let you use the app. Let's say you're out in the middle of the desert, you could still use the app. It just wouldn't save to the web until you're back in where you have data service, and it can sync with the web. So once you've synced it with the web, you don't need those receipts. A lot of people like to keep them anyway, just throw them in a shoebox. But at least they'll be organized now. And the other thing is that a lot of that thermal paper now on those receipts that they have, I mean, if you leave them, especially in Arizona, I used to live in Arizona, love Arizona, but if you leave one of those thermal receipts on your dashboard in the middle of the summer, you can come back in 20 minutes and it's going to be unreadable.
Right. That's right. So just going back just a little bit, when you go to set up the account, we have a brand new TaxBot user, where do they need to go? Can they go to their phone to set it up? Do they need to go to their desktop? Where's the first place that they need to go?
Great question. You want to go to aar.taxbot.com.
Okay, so say that again. I like that.
aar.taxbot.com. It'll forward you to the right place.
Okay.
Where you get your discount. And this is the place where you get the discount. So this is kind of the place you want to go. Just AAR. I'll put it back up on the screen. I have it on the slide here. Right here at the bottom, aar.taxbot. We'll zoom in a little bit.
Okay.
And if you go there, you'll get the discount, and that's going to be where you go to set it up. And then, we're going to send you a couple email tax tips in your email during the first 30 days to kind of just remind you to get using it, start the new habit, and also hopefully educate you a little bit on some things you probably are missing.
So I read, I believe it was on your website, that Sandy sends out like regular updates, little tidbits of maybe things we could be missing on our taxes?
That is correct. So once you sign up, you'll get put into our email list, and you can always go into the website and look in that education section that I was showing you. And you can always go in if you're really hungry or you need to find out something. You can always come back here, but we try to make it easy. We send you a video, once every couple of weeks, and with a quick tax tip. They're less than 5 minutes long on the videos, and they're really entertaining. If you've never heard of Sandy, he's been doing the training for like 30 years, and he's kind of a funny guy. He actually makes people laugh when he's talking about taxes, which is kind of unique because most CPAs are about as exciting as dry bread.
Yeah, you don't hear IRS people being funny very often, that's for sure.
Exactly.
So, when we come to this library, this is all for the IRS. This is not state-specific, correct?
That is correct. It is not state-specific. However, most states follow IRS in almost everything. There's a few things that they may vary from, but this is mostly on the federal level.
Okay, and here we are 7 days into the year. Okay to kind of backtrack a little bit and fill in the first 6 days of the year, or just start today and get going?
Absolutely. So if you have receipts, then it's really easy to go in and add them. If you don't have the receipts, then you can always hook up your online banking and pull in. When you first set up your online banking with TaxBot, it'll pull up to 90 days worth of previous history, and you can import that information. And that's actually one other thing I forgot to show you in the new release that we're pushing out. Let me show you this real quick. On the mileage, obviously you're not going to go and recreate the, let's see, I got to bring my phone back up here.
You just love technology.
Great when it works.
Yes.
Okay, so here's my phone. This is going to be in the new feature that's coming out in about 10 days, what I told you. But I can also click Add Manual Mileage. And then I have a map, and I can click on the map, and I can say, okay, if I have my appointment book, I could say, okay, I know that I went from my house to, let's say Phoenix. I put in, obviously, the right address if I had one. But I put in Phoenix. It's going to then calculate the miles, so 722 miles for me, but I can recreate the trip. I can add the date, put the effective date in. I guess I went the wrong way. I went in the future. I want to go back, put it in the past. So I put in the date, and then I put in the information, and I can recreate the records. If I have my appointment book, and I can recreate that, you can use the Maps integration. You can also drop pins and move the pin around and say I didn't really go to Arizona. I went up here, and it's really interactive, so you can recreate those trips.
And did you say that that's currently available, or that's coming?
That's coming in the next 10 days. So if you sign up, then you'll see that update will be automatically pushed in about 10 days.
Wow. So, Jacob, I know that as the CEO, you obviously have a passion for TaxBot, but tell my members maybe the top 3 reasons why they should be using this specific app.
First of all, the ease of use. We're the #1 rated expense tracking by top 10 reviews and some other review sites because of the ease of use. Number 2, you can find some expense trackers out there that are more focused on there's a lot of accounting applications, right? But not very many of them focus on tax compliance. They mostly focus on, how much money am I making? Which is half the equation. The other half is, you got to make sure you're doing it for the tax benefits. And so TaxBot #1 is one of the only solutions that incorporates the mileage tracking with the expense tracking with cloud storage, and for a full suite. Number 2, it's the only one out there that educates you and has education as a component, where we teach you how to be a better business owner. We teach you the things that you need to know. And finally, I would just say that the reports on the back end, that audit safe report that I showed you, by far and away the most comprehensive reports available in the market. And we're just, we're constantly evolving and trying to make it better. And the user experience is a big driver for us, especially on the mobile platform. And so that, as far as compliance and stuff, you're not going to find anything that comes even close.
Excellent. And what about customer service? Say I'm on TaxBot, and I don't know, my phone goes all wonky, and everything is just messed up on my screen because my phone gets that way. I can easily call somebody, and they can help me. Tell me about your customer service.
We have live bodies in the United States that speak, that are from here, so you don't have to deal with any accents or anything like that. So, not saying that's bad, but sometimes there's that communication gap, and we have live agents that can help you, they're there. I believe from 7 in the morning until 7 in the evening right now, I believe is what their hours are.
Okay. So, and is that Central Standard Time?
That's Mountain Time.
It is Mountain Time. Okay. So pretty much if there's any type of a question, our members can reach out to a live person and get real live information that's applicable right here, right now, get their problems fixed, and they're just on their way to being more organized and hopefully getting some higher deductions.
Yeah. And it really does. It only takes a minute a day, and to start saving some big money, and you have your phone on you at all times.
Right.
Even places where you probably shouldn't have your phone, you usually have it. So it just makes it so easy to to just do it and not worry about it later. Nobody wants to come home after a long day of work and then go and do their accounting. So why not just do it on the fly while you're out?
Absolutely. Well, Jake, thank you so very much for joining us today on aar.taxbot.com for information and to get that premium discount that Jake was talking about. And we thank you so much for joining us for our 10 a.m. TaxBot webinar. We'll be back at 11 a.m. with Lori Gantz from Realtors Property Resource. And again, talking about overviews and the information that RPR you can use to build your business. Thank you so much for joining us.